Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our C# programming tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we're going to be taking a look at how we can format numeric values in C#. Now, oftentimes when you're displaying values to the user, let's say you have an application where you want to calculate the various monthly payments that you're going to make on a loan, right? And you want to know exactly how your balance on that loan is going to decrease over time as you make payments. Well, usually in that kind of application, you're going to want to display a numeric value as currency, right? With a dollar sign if you're in the United States, a yen sign if you're in China or something like that, or a pound sign if you're in the UK. Well, to do that, we can use what's called a format specifier inside of our string.format or our toString method. And I'll show you how to do both, right? Now, of course, internally, we're going to use doubles and decimals and stuff like that for our numeric calculations. These are specifically for displaying the data to the user, right? That's what they're typically used for. So, as you can see here in my Visual Studio Code window, I have a comment with some of the more common format specifiers. There are more than just these, but these are perhaps some of the more common ones. So the first one we're going to take a look at, if we go into VS Code, I'm going to go up here to the top. So the first one we're going to take a look at is how we can format a double, or this should work on decimals as well. We'll double check that. How we can format those to only include 2 decimal places in the string representation, right? So if we go into the comment here and we take a look at the specific specifier, the specifier is F2, a lowercase f and the number 2. Now, what is this 0 colon that's in front of it, that prefixes it? Well, that is for the string format method, and we'll take a look at that now. So go ahead and go below this comment, and we'll say double pi equals 3.14159. Okay, so that's pi. Let's create a string variable that is going to format this string. Now we're going to create 2 strings that are formatted, one using toString and then the other using string.format. The first one we're going to take a look at is string.format. So string pi formatted equals string.format. Okay, and inside of the parentheses, we're going to give it a string, and then also the value that we want to format, which is going to be pi. Okay, so now, inside of the string, we're going to do the following. Do an opening curly brace, 0. This first 0 here is representative of the placeholder value. So pi is what this will be replaced with, colon, and then our format specifier, which is F2, like that. And then make sure that there is a right brace as well at the end of that. We can save this now. And we can go ahead and create a second string, pi formatted 2 equals pi dot toString. Okay, and inside of the parentheses of our toString method, we're going to provide it just F2. Save this, and then we can console write line each of these as well. So console.writeLine pi formatted and then we can say console writeLine and then we can say pi formatted 2. Save it. And now we can go ahead and run our code. So we're going to open up the terminal. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and go into the desktop, cd, test app, okay, and then we can clear our screen, .NET run. And there we go. Now, inside of our console, we get 3.14 printed twice. And that's because of our format specifier, where we're saying, oh, okay, so you want 2 decimal places only in the formatted string? Cool, let's do that. Okay, so that is the F2 formatter, or formatting string. Let's take a look now at some of the other ones that we've got. Now, we could also convert this to a decimal, so let's quickly do that before I forget. Okay. And let's just add an M there at the end. And then let's go back into our terminal. And we can do a .NET run again. And you can see it also works on decimals, right? So we get 3.14 in our console again. So that is the F2. Now, the next one we're going to take a look at is formatting a number with thousandth specifiers. So, for example, using a comma for 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, stuff like that, right? So if we change let's say let's say we have, let's get rid of these variables here. There Okay, so let's say we have an int, and we're gonna call this population, and we're gonna set this to 300 million. Okay, so 300 million. Here, we can use our n0 specifier, as shown above in the comment up there, to use those thousandth specifiers. So to do this with string format, we can say string population str equals string dot format, and inside of our format we give it a string and then the value. So this value is going to be population, and then inside of the quotations we're going to say open curly brace 0 colon and then our format specifier, which is n0. Okay, and then we can say string population str2 is equal to population dot toString and pass it n0 like that. Okay, now we can say console write line population str and console write line population str2. Save this. Let's go into our terminal and do a .NET run. And there we go. There's our 300 million number formatted with those comma thousandth separators. Now let's clear our terminal there so it's not quite cluttered every time I run something. But that is how you can, that's how you can put the comma separators, the thousandth separators in a string. Representation of a number. Okay. Now let's take a look at currency. Currency is obviously culturally specific. This output will 100% depend on where you are. It'll depend on your locale. Because I'm in the United States, the C2 specifier will format my currency string in United States dollars using a $sign and stuff like that. If you're in the UK, it will use pounds. If you're in China, if you're even able to view this in China, that is, you'll have a yen symbol there, stuff like that, right? So let's go ahead and what we'll do is we will get rid of int population, and we will replace it with double, or actually it'd be more fitting to replace it with decimal. And we will say, well, what do we want to call this? We'll just call it price for simplicity. And we'll say 3,499.0 M. Now, if you know what I'm thinking of when I chose that number specifically, if you know what I'm talking about, leave a comment. Yeah. So now let's change the strings here real quick. So instead of population str, this will be price str. And instead of the N0 formatter or format string, right, we'll replace N0 with C2. And replace population with price. Same thing for this. Same thing for population str2. Instead of population str2, it'll be price str2. And instead of population here, we're going to have price and instead of N0, we'll have C2. Make sure there's a period there. Okay, and then when we print out everything, instead of population str, again, it'll be price str. And then price str2. Save this, and let's go ahead and run it. So we can say .NET run. Okay, we have an error. Okay, so price str does not exist. Let's take a look here. Okay, let's try that again here. And there we go. And there we go. We get our $3,499 printed to the console, complete with cents and the dollar sign. Again, because I'm in the United States, it detects that specific locale, that specific culture, and uses the United States-based currency format. Again, if you're in some other place, like the UK, it'll use pounds. If you're in China, it'll use yen, stuff like that. All right, so that is currency. Now, let's say you want to format something as a percent. Well, that's where the P1 format specifier comes in. So instead of decimal price, we'll have percentage. Okay. And we will assign this a value of, let's say, 0.15. Okay, 0.15. So now let's change our variables again. Percentage str. And then instead of C2, we can replace that with P1. And then instead of price, we can say percentage. And then the same thing goes for the two-string version. So instead of C2, it's P1. Instead of price, it's percentage. And instead of price str2, it's percentage 2. Okay. And then percentage str. And percentage like that. Okay. Okay, I'm getting the sounds of errors here in my screen reader. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Console, right line. Okay, so the statement here is fine. String I see. There we go. String percentage str2. There we go. Save that. Now let's go ahead and clear our screen. .NET run. And you can see we have 15.0%. Let's run that again. And you can see, again, that is exactly, it doesn't change or anything like that. Now, how did it do that? Right? Well, because 0.15 is the decimal is a percentage in the decimal format representation of that. It went and said, okay, well, this is a decimal. that isn't a whole, that isn't like a whole number. And it just like applies essentially it multiplies the value by 100 to get the percentage and then formats it. Right. So let's say instead of 0.15, let's just say we have 15. So decimal percentage 15M. So save that. Let's go ahead and do a .NET run here. And you can see we get 1,500.0%. So it, like I said, it essentially multiplies the value you give it by 100. So 15 times 100 is 1,500. And then formats it as a percentage from there. So keep that in mind. If you want to display an accurate percentage, make sure that if you want, say, 15% or 30% shown, something like that, don't multiply it by 100 before you format it. Keep it unmultiplied because it'll do it for you pretty much. Okay? So that's percentages. And really, those are all the most common format specifiers you can give your format method or your toString method. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.